Hey you! Happy Thanksgiving! I'm sorry, what? You mean this video is late? I mean, of course it is. Thanksgiving was all the way back in October. What? What's that? You think I'm wrong. Huh? Thanksgiving was on November 23rd? Let me tell you a little something about Canadian Thanksgiving. Now, before half of you comment that intro was cringe, sometimes you just have to embrace the cringe, alright kids? Sometimes being cringy is the only way to enjoy life. So a lot of people don't actually know that Canadian Thanksgiving is actually in October. As an American, I don't like this. For starters, October already has its own holiday. It's called Halloween. You can't have two holidays in 1 month. That's illegal. And second, now I have to celebrate 2 Thanksgivings. You might be thinking, Kasey, what are you talking about? That sounds awesome. 2 Thanksgivings? Except you're probably a kid and you probably don't have to do any of the cooking. Now I get to have 2 Thanksgivings, one with Dave's family where we don't really have to do any cooking, but I do miss having a Thanksgiving in November, so Dave and I had just a little something last week, but it took a lot of work for just the 2 of us. Plus, we've been eating ham for days. Ham for days. It's out of control. I can't consume any more ham. But there is a couple of good things about having Thanksgiving in October. The first being that when half of America is already starting to decorate for Christmas, the other half of America is complaining that Thanksgiving hasn't even happened yet and they need to cool their jets. Well, let me tell you something. In Canada, when Thanksgiving already happened in October, there is absolutely nothing between Halloween and Christmas. So when people start decorating for Christmas mid-November or even earlier, I don't give a fluff. In fact, I do keep catching myself saying, dang guys, it's not even Thanksgiving yet, cool your jets. And then I say, Kasey, cool your jets, cause there is no Thanksgiving here. Well, not in November. The second reason why I'm okay with this is that I get to have 2 Thanksgivings. I know I listed that as being a bad thing, but you know what? There are things I like on both sides. Dave and I have very different traditions. Namely, they don't have mashed potatoes, rolls, or deviled eggs. Also, guilty pleasure, that cranberry sauce that comes out of a can, and it's a gelatinous can-shaped blob of purple stuff. It's so weird, but it's funny, so I like to eat it. Also, I drew that in the illustration too. I also make Buckeyes for every Thanksgiving, but it doesn't feel right taking them to his family, so I save it for our American Thanksgiving. If you don't know what Buckeyes are, they're peanut butter balls covered in chocolate. They're named Buckeyes because they look like this nut thing that grows on trees. I've also drawn a few ants carrying Buckeyes in this illustration. That's how much I love them. Speaking of illustration, shall we talk about this illustration? Thanksgiving, cause what else is in November? I already made a fall illustration with the ants back when I did the prompt. It was something like harvest and pond, I think. So I can't do another fall illustration, so of course I have to do a Thanksgiving illustration. So, food. A feast. Let's just draw the ants having a Thanksgiving meal together. I wasn't sure what to have these ants doing. Thanksgiving doesn't give a whole lot to work with. It's food-based, but there's not a whole lot of doing things aside from eating. I started off by drawing the table and then I went from there. My first idea was having these lines of ants bringing in the food to the table. From there, I added the fat ant who was already munching away, and then I started to draw ants with pilgrim costumes, ants holding forks, ants holding Buckeyes, and a couple of ants playing football, and even an ant dressed as a turkey. I think football season starts around this time, right? Maybe. Of course, the burglar ant made an appearance, so let me know if you found it. Something I found pretty funny in this illustration was the lack of consistency with the food size. Right away, I noticed the large corn on the cob that the 2 ants are sharing, but then you notice that one of the ants is carrying a ham, and it's just the right size for an ant. And then there's the pie, which is pretty large for a pie, but not as large as the corn. It's like, I haven't quite decided if I want these ants to live in our world and be the proper size of a tiny little ant, but I kind of like to mix the size of food and objects in these illustrations because I think the inconsistency is kind of funny. It makes you think, are these ants part of this world? Are they not part of this world? But then why are these Buckeyes bigger than the ants? Because Buckeyes are something that you have to make yourself. And then if you look over to the left, there are wine glasses and there's a cake that is an ant-sized cake. Something about these stupid little details I find to be quite entertaining. It might be a cop-out, but I think the inconsistency is it's stupid, and stupid is funny. If you are wondering what that giant ant is, it's supposed to be a nod to the floats in the Macy's Thanksgiving parade that happens in New York. If you aren't from the States, you might not know what that is. Every year on Thanksgiving, there's a parade held in New York where they have these giant floats that usually are popular characters. Things that people would recognize. I suppose it's part of advertising. And I think one of the things that lets you know if you've made it in the popular culture is that you have a float in the Macy's parade. Maybe one day my ants will be afloat in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. But until then, I will just have to draw it. Honestly, I would be so happy to even have my ants as a plushie being sold in stores. I couldn't imagine them actually being a parade float. Gotta dream big. I also wanted to make sure that there were more red ants than black ants. That way it was very reddish brownish, which makes it feel more like a Thanksgiving illustration, which is in the fall. Alright, are you ready to find some ants? Let me know in the comments if you found them. 1 turkey ant, 13 male pilgrim ants, 9 female pilgrim ants, 10 ants carrying forks, 2 football ants, 8 ants carrying a buckeye, and of course, the burglar ant. Also, let me know which ant was your favorite. I really like this ant in the bottom right corner that's winking, but I also really like the ant float because it's so big and cute. One last thing, really corny and quick before I go. I just wanted to say this year I am very thankful for all of the support I have been getting for my art and this opportunity to do what I love for a living. I really do appreciate all the support I get from you guys, and I am so thankful for that. So again, as usual, thank you so much for watching my videos, supporting me in every way that you can. And yeah, that's what I'm thankful for this year. What are you thankful for? I'm asking a lot of questions for the comments this time. Alright, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving if you celebrate it. If not, I hope you had a good ordinary Thursday, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!